How do you properly vet a carrier? We're talking details about the truck, the trailer, the driver, safety scores, insurance, everything. Danielle Spinelli with MyCarrierPortal is with us today for some live software demo and information you might want to know. So please say hello in the live chat, share your thoughts, grow your network, and learn from the best on ATI Auto Business. What's up, ecosystem? Welcome back to Industry Logistics on ATI Auto Business, where everyone learns more about the automotive industry. We are talking about how to vet a carrier with MyCarrierPortal. Now, you might notice something. Unfortunately, Sue is not feeling well today, and we're going to miss her presence. So, actually, Danielle, I might bring you in early. If you're ready, please say hello in the live chat. Let me know. Danielle, I see you in the Zoom waiting room, so I might bring you up in here. I've got a few things that I normal business news stuff. It's only for a few people, but I do it anyways. It's MyCarrierPortal, carrier identity for your business. This is not a paid program. I just know that this stuff is important, and in the demo that I got, I was surprised at how in-depth this is. And I know that if you're a broker, right, you do not want to manually do vetting anymore. I think that was that was a thing for a while, right? Send in your carrier packet. We'll have our internal compliance team manually look over it, manually do things, manual, and still missing stuff. So now there are programs that will automate the process and do a deeper dive than you could internally. And now you're really up and running. So we've got Danielle Spinelli on the show today from MyCarrierPortal. She's an account executive, and we're going to start looking at some stuff. That's a dashboard. There's a lot there. This is just a screen that reports information, right? Like, hey, you might pay attention. What is this? Wait, what are these levels and reviews and points and weighting and like, as in weighted averages? And this is intense. There's a lot more to this than meets the eye. And there's many ways to search a carrier. I mean, you can DOT, MC number, put in the name, put in their email, their phone. It's all connected, right? So how to vet a carrier. Honestly, for me, this show is for carriers as much as it's for brokers, because you want to know, right? What are they looking at? When the officer comes to the window, license and registration, then goes back to the computer, what all is being looked at? I say know your ecosystem, new, used, dealer, auction, logistics, tech, and more. If you're looking for information about dispatching, working in car hauling, understanding the ecosystem, this is somewhere you might go. It's a neutral zone. That's why it's not for everybody. We're not picking favorites. We're just reporting the news. Apparently that's more difficult than we thought. It's Tuesday nights, Automotive Ecosystem, 7 p.m. Central. You're welcome to tune in. You're welcome to tune in Thursdays at noon. And like last Thursday, carrier programs. Again, I know this is being talked about, but, we didn't get all buttered up with anybody in specific about this show. Free information, take it or leave it. You can go into the time codes of the description and find what you're looking for. Another ATI feature. It's okay. Show me the truck. All right, well, this is getting weird. Teamsters, as we learned this on January 8th, Teamsters are furious after Ford ditches auto hauler Jack Cooper. I mean, after 40 years of relationship, Ford leaned on auto transport company Jack Cooper to move vehicles, serving its second largest customer behind GM. And it's just terminating its contract. Notice from Ford was unexpected, constitutes an unforeseen business and operational emergency, and you're just notified we're ending it February 2nd. It's unclear why they made the decision. It's reportedly not due to performance issues. So is it personal? What, did somebody pick the wrong presidential candidate? I mean, what's going on here? We're going to find out eventually, but nobody knows. And a source close to Automotive Logistics said Ford may have been concerned about Jack Cooper's finances, implying the company may be in financial distress. Now we're seeing, this is recent news, they're going to close their Wayne plant after Ford cancels their contract. Jack Cooper is closing its operations in Wayne just weeks after Ford terminated the long-standing contract. That's not a lot of people, but for those people, this is a big deal. Terminating its operations in Wayne, 89 employees associated with the facility. Of those, 75 are union jobs, which presents an interesting level of situation. Jack Cooper also has a facility in Dearborn with 8 employees, 5 of whom are union. And everybody wants to know. It has angered the Teamsters Union, which indicated it will fight for the 1,400 union jobs at the car hauling company. It's an existential crisis. GM is still using Jack Cooper. Outside of Michigan, the affected facilities, we got Avon Lake, Ohio, Liberty, Missouri, Cottage Grove, Minnesota, Louisville, Kentucky. A warn notice filed in Missouri earlier this month shows the company is permanently closing its facility in Liberty. That's 406 jobs. Avon Lake, 53 jobs. What is going on? Jack Cooper Transport in Sheffield Village to close. 50 employees in Sheffield. Jack Cooper shuttering Missouri facility, laying off 400 employees there. That's in Clay Como. And the Liberty facility is right next to the Ford plant. Guys, we're right here. Why are you... It's been 40 years. What happened to all the parties and the cakes? Liberty Jack Cooper facility result in the layoff of 406 workers, 129 casual yard workers, 116 drivers, 107 yard employees. This sucks. Layoffs begin February 2nd. Well, it's just a couple weeks. This is weird news. Family behind Jack Cooper quietly acquires LTL carrier through separate entity. Sakayam, an entity with ties to the same family that owns Jack Cooper, ended up acquiring less than truckload carrier Standard Forwarding. Typically, companies like to tout their conquest, communicate go-to-market strategies, explain the ways new ownership will enhance operations. Standard Forwarding Freight, Sakayam Logistics, and Jack Cooper have not responded. They're not getting loud with the news. So, I don't know. It's weird, man. The whole thing's really weird. Let's see here. Let's check the live chat. Oh, okay. So, Danielle, and what you can do is, Danielle, you can either text me or you can text me or you can reply to my email. But anyways, you'll be up in here. Be about 10 minutes, I guess. So that's cool. Ship.Cars. Online security top priority. They sent out this memo in response to increasing fraud activities, or as an email, I think. As part of this effort, multi-factor authentication will become mandatory for all users. MFA is an additional layer of security that helps verify your identity. When logging in, you'll enter your password as usual and then confirm your login with a 6-digit code. So the notice is, this is good, but I think it's essentially what we're kind of all used to on many other systems anyways. You go to log in, they send you a code, you enter the code, now you're in. So there you go. That's the memo. Now, this is a weird one. Get this, Jay, it looks like we have a dispatcher competitor now from Central Dispatch. Looks like they're posing a Central Dispatch partner or hacked Central Dispatch. I'm not sure. Okay? I'm not sure either, but this is interesting. All right. So this is, I guess this is an email that went out through Central. New carriers onboarding, apply for a free trial. The email is sent from do not reply at centraldispatch.com. I'm reading a memo. This is not my personal claim. Okay, so I mean, I guess that looks legit compared, to checking the email kind of legitness. Okay, so here's the body. 1-2 dispatch, professional calling dispatch. We guarantee that with us you will start earning more by working less. Why not? Lie, cheat, and steal. You can say whatever you want. It doesn't matter. And it's a guarantee, which is fun. It's not even a representation. But, you can't be legally held accountable for marketing language, can you? I don't know. Don't take our word for granted. Apply for a free trial, see for yourself. And I'm not saying it isn't true. I'm just saying it's not likely. Right? It's not likely. You can't guarantee that. Based on what? What is that guarantee based on? Anyways, there's a website, there's a phone number, and then there's an email. Oh, it's sent. This is weird. I mean, it's hard to know. What is going on with this email? Okay. Dispatching's not even that lucrative to go through all this trouble? Okay. Well, that's why I say welcome to Auto Transport. You can do whatever you want. And Sue sent me this. Sue, you have to tell us in the live chat. What does this mean? We walk in this morning, all my listings are gone. Been removed, who knows? I don't know what that means. So please, let us know. Hey, I'm new to the auto business. You can contact me. You go to atiautobusiness.com. And here, I'll put the link in the live chat. Why not? atiautobusiness.com. And there seems to be this hashtag in the URL. I'm not sure why. Why not? Anyways, this came in through ATI. Hey, I'm new to the auto business. I'm just selling cars is not enough. I saw your video regarding dispatching. I use Central Dispatch all the time to send cars that I have sold to different locations. Any information that could be provided to help out would be greatly appreciated when getting started in dispatching. All right, that's awesome. So, what you can do is, let's go to, I'm going to give you the playlist. Do you know about the Dispatcher Training Series? A lot of people have watched this. It is free. You just go onto YouTube, and I'm going to grab the link right now. This is called, what is it called? Car Hauling Dispatcher Training Series. And here comes the link in the live chat. I'm going to say Dispatcher Training Series. There's the link in the live chat. I know, it's depressing that Sue's not here, isn't it? It is. I know. We get so used to her. It's great having her. Even though I seem to talk over her all the time. Sorry about that, Sue. But there's a Dispatcher Training Series link in the live chat. Click on that, watch the training series, and then feel free to, my recommendation is, it's these Thursday live shows. Dispatching Live, Industry Logistics, is on Thursdays at noon Central Time. And it's the best way to interact with Sue and I and the audience. We used to have a guy that did coaching, but he ran off and went nuts. So we don't have that anymore. We now we encourage you to tune into the live show. Oh, you don't think that's true? Boy, oh boy. Next email. Looking to start car hauling between North Carolina and Florida in the next year or so. Would like some info. Interested in getting linked up with car auction houses. I like this one because that's good. I like that you're thinking about how you're going to build your business. That's what you want to do. You either want to, you really do want to look into clients. You will now find many people making videos about load boards. Yes, I started it. Doesn't matter. Who cares? But the load boards, no matter if you have 5, 10, or 20 load boards, you're going to see a lot of the same loads and a lot of the same types of money and listings and inability to control your business. So by doing something like getting linked up with car auction houses, auto auctions, that's great. You're developing a niche. You can do repo, you can do dealers, you can do auctions, you can do POV, although I don't really know how you build a business out of POV initially, because these are onesies, twosies, you know. Private individuals, sending the kid to college, or corporate relocation is a little better. But now you're talking the need to be able to serve nationwide, and this is where you're going to probably have to develop a brokerage. And this is why any carrier over time either learns to really dislike brokers or also become a broker. And if you do also become a broker, you want to set up your own, it's a separate business. So now you have two businesses, a carrier business and a brokerage business. Because if you broker from your carrier business, that's called double brokering. And that's frowned upon. And there are reasons why, because, well, it creates havoc for insurance, etc. It's also going to screw up your carrier vetting. So, spotting freight, fraud, flags, inactive revoked authority, newly issued authority, frequent insurer changes, name or ownership changes, mismatched details, double brokering, rushed verifications, outstanding fines, negative reviews, last minute driver changes. Don't do it. Learn what to do. Start cleaning up your record. If you can, if it's not too late. Do me a favor, stick around. Right after this, we're going to be live with Danielle Spinelli to learn more about MyCarrierPortal. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Are you completely stressed out from all the calls and the contracts and the verifications of loads where nobody ever answers the phone? Call Murphy Auto Dispatch Services today. Murphy Auto Dispatch Services has over 15 years in the transport industry. We are your office while you are on the road. We book, we verify, and we bill out your loads for you. We have an excellent accounting staff and an even better dispatch team. Give us a call today at 417-273-0021, or if you want to email me, it's murphyautotransport31@yahoo.com. Give us a call today.
Need help shipping a car or keeping your carrier loaded? Murphy Auto Transport Services is a fully licensed broker and offers professional dispatching services. Visit murphyautotransportservices.com. Sue is out today. She is not feeling well. Hopefully you're feeling well, and it's cold, and it's snowy, and there's weather going on, and then I think we still have fires going on in California. So there's all kinds of craziness. But that doesn't matter at the moment. We're going to talk about carrier vetting. Danielle, can you see me and hear me okay?
I can see you and hear you. Hi. Thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks for joining me. Oh, I'm doing a little business here on my, let's see, where is my, the black bar. Hang on one second. While I'm doing business on my screen, do me a favor and please tell us more about you.
Yeah, definitely. So I am with Descartes, who now owns MyCarrierPortal. I was with MyCarrierPortal prior to the acquisition that just happened this past September. Prior to that, I was a broker for about 8 years. I was in carrier sales, so I worked mainly just directly with carriers. I didn't really work on the customer side with shippers and things, so I work directly with carriers I have a good relationship with. I had dealt with all that, so I mainly shipped high value loads, so really had to learn how to spot a carrier as far as for fraud, and use MyCarrierPortal at the time as a broker. And then that's kind of how I started working here. I messaged one of the guys that work here, hey, you guys, saved my butt doing this and this and that. Kept talking to him, and then now here I am over here. So, just kind of I guess now they call me the fraud girl, because I hop on podcasts and talk about tips and tricks that I've learned, and kind of like how our system has improved and helps people out there that cares.
So is fraud a big problem?
Oh yeah, definitely. It's I think they said like 2023 was like $700 million, $500 to $700 million worth of fraud and theft in the logistics industry alone. And I don't even know if they have 2024's numbers yet, but I'm sure it's a lot higher than that now.
So the problem is, I'm just gonna say it. Fraud sounds like a boring topic,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And I talk like this because man, it's true.
Yeah.
The problem is it's far from boring.
Yeah. It's really impacting carriers, shippers, brokers. I mean, every aspect, everybody's getting hit. Everyone's taking a loss. It's not just for a while there, it was just brokers. And, for instance, double brokering has kind of always been a thing. The problem is back in the day, it was where, well, the load got delivered. Maybe it wasn't the exact same driver, but you still had the load deliver. Maybe the person who did the double brokering took a little bit off the top. You still didn't have issues with the shippers. Things weren't missing. So things have changed now that it's not like that. I mean, double brokering honestly has always been a thing, but now we're dealing with somebody double brokering, keeping that load, or maybe shaving some pallets off of the shipment, falsifying BOLs, kind of a whole slew of different things, and then of course straight up theft, having to go across the border and never seeing your freight again. So it's really impacting a lot of people. So I think that's why fraud is such a hot topic now because it's impacting everybody. It's not just the big brokers anymore, or the big shippers. It's really hurting the most the small guys. So
It's almost like it needs a new name, like business terror,
right, the terrorists of logistics. I don't. Yeah,
right? Because that would fraud just sounds too fraud.
yeah.
Like a little bit of shoplifting, no big deal.
And you don't think it can happen to you. You're like, oh, I know how to spot. I can hear this or that, and I have a good idea on it. But it can happen to everybody. I mean, I like I said, I was doing it for 8 years and mainly in high value loads, so I had a good sense on that. But honestly, right before I came over to MyCarrierPortal, I kind of trusted somebody I shouldn't have trusted. I've deviated from my process, and I had a load that got stolen. Luckily, I found it, got it recovered and all that. But if you have a process in place, which is what we'll talk about a lot today, following that process to a T. Don't be. I mean, I think a lot of brokers and shippers and driver, everybody in the logistics industry has a gambling problem. We have a hot load that has to get there. Oh, let's shake the dice and see what happens. And yes, you can do that, but just know that you have risk, and that's something that MyCarrierPortal does, where you can still work with any carrier. I mean, freedom to do whatever you need to, but at least you have the red flags ahead of you saying, hey, these guys have blah blah going on with them, and we give you kind of additional tools to show, yes, they have these red flags, but how do I know if they're really a bad guy or not? So we have like our VIN verification, which I know we'll jump into, but kind of knowing is just because someone for a while there was no inspections. Well, that doesn't mean you're a bad guy. I mean, it just means that your equipment's running great and DOT isn't pulling you over. So I think there's been a lot of stuff in the industry that hey, this works if this is a tail sign, but then the bad guys catch on and then it changes. So I think that's kind of why this topic always needs to be talked about, unfortunately, until maybe one day things are better. I don't see that always happening, but I don't see that happening, but we'll see.
Well, and you were because we talked briefly before.
Hmm.
Some of the things that your system is pointing out are things that I was not thinking about.
Right.
And I know that means there's other folks that like carriers, because you're going beyond the equipment, beyond the obvious stuff.
Hmm.
What's some of the in-depth, not obvious
Yeah.
stuff?
Good question. And honestly, a lot of that the reason why we have these things in here is we have a network of brokers that we work with that, they have boots on the ground. They're hearing things like, hey, we just got scammed by this new operations that happened. And I know you kind of actually just talked about this a second ago with that central dispatch email. That's probably one of the biggest things is not knowing exactly who you're dealing with. So the carrier identity piece of it, how do you know that this email is actually with that carrier? So that's a big piece, knowing who you're working with. Sometimes they'll have like the I look like an L, and that was a big thing for a while. But having that email verified, I think, is key. Other things on a carrier that you can see is really just like how they've been operating with other brokers within MyCarrierPortal. You see a rating, you'll see like if someone's caught them doing something, you'll see reports and stuff like that. So it's kind of looking at a all around 360 view. We're integrated with Freight Validate, which also shows how do they register with the FMCSA, which I think, unfortunately, FMCSA is not doing that part. So Freight Validate's doing that for them, really. So does their business license actually match their way that they registered? Is it the same exact name? Because really all they're looking for is AI stuff in the background. These are people that are actually manually checking that. And that's built in with MyCarrierPortal. So things like that.
Well, and I realized as I was doing the intro that I said something where, and I'm going to ask if it's true. It seems in the past that many brokers were doing this in-house manually.
Mm-hmm.
Has that changed? Are they farming this out to companies like Descartes? Or are they still, how are brokers? What does a broker compliance team look like today?
Good question. So let's say like my old brokerage in 2017 or no, excuse me, it was 2019 is whenever we switched over right before COVID, luckily. But we were doing paper packets. Like I said, I was doing high value shipments. So I had like a checklist I had to check. I had several different websites I was looking at, FMCSA, Safer, Care 411, all those type of things, looking at all my different things I had to check off my list. And honestly, it took a lot of time. And there was times whenever I had X amount of loads that there were hot shipments, I had to get out the door, and I would take a lot more risks than I needed to, and wake up in the middle of the night like, oh my God, I forgot to check this one thing. What if that one thing was the thing that's going to make this guy, actually be the bad guy type thing? So I think you can do things manually. Do I think it's 100% foolproof? No. Do I think having the information like somebody like MyCarrierPortal or a different type of compliance team like that, having the feedback of other brokers or logistics companies out there, I think that's crucial because you're not just by yourself on a lone island. Especially if you're smaller, you're not going to have enough data to know about every carrier. So having something like that, you can do things manually, but you really should be part of a community.
Well, it's perfect segue because I'm going to ask you this. This is a curveball. After using your system to vet a carrier, what additional steps could you take to not only vet the carrier, but if they pass everything, don't you want them in your preferred network?
Mm-hmm.
So Do you call them? What would you do? Send them a cake?
Great question. And honestly, for me, as being a carrier rep, I think relationships with carriers are key. That's really the way to be successful. When you have the market going up and down, you need that steady Eddie carrier that, hey, I can call and say, hey, I have this shipment I need your help on. Can you hook me up? And vice versa. Like, hey, I'm stuck here. Do you have anything that can help me out for the carrier? Carrier relationships are huge. So having that, something that we did at my old brokerage, which I hear from other companies do something similar. If I had a carrier that ran a load for me, they did an excellent job. Maybe it was like twice or something they ran a similar lane. I'd call them back. Hey, where are you at today? And, keep offering things because they've done such a great job. I keep following through on that, building that relationship. And I think honestly, nowadays, a lot of newer brokers are coming out there, or they're coming right out of college, jumping into a brokerage firm. That stuff is kind of going away, and I hate that. I hope that comes back again. I think they're just given a load board and says, post a load and find a truck, because it's kind of easy for them to do that right now. But to me, having an actual relationship with the carrier and building that up, A, it helps you prevent with fraud even better. B, you'll have better customer service with your customer. And it just makes your job easier. So it's kind of a win-win, and you get to know some really cool people. So,
yeah, I'm not sure what's happening in the broker carrier relationship right now. I mean, I know that's not the topic of this show,
right?
But
it's
from what
important.
I
It's part of
see, it is, because that's the thing. After you do all that work to vet a carrier, and we know you've got clients, and you should be building some regular lanes.
Yep.
And I know this in the repossession industry too, because I've spent a lot of time talking to repo, is that there's still they're meeting a lot of new carriers for the first time. So then you have to re-explain everything. Just like when you send another first timer to pick up at the OEM. You got to give them all these rules. Don't wear zippers on your jacket and all this stuff that goes beyond vetting.
Yeah.
But if you vetted a carrier and you find a great carrier, find a way to embrace that relationship. It's not just you passed.
One and done, right?
Good
People aren't
for you.
disposable, right?
Right. It's not a one and done.
Well, and what's interesting, sorry to interrupt, being a part of
did.
Descartes now that we got acquired in September. So I was just MyCarrierPortal for a long time, and then now learning Descartes. They have I think it's 190 different tech softwares out there within their company. So other things that they have in place, we have like a capacity tool, which is cool because you can see like, hey, I have a lane from, I don't know, Atlanta to Houston. You can see, well, out of, this carrier happens to run this many times. Well, let's go ahead and call them. It's also taken into effect your vetting process with MCP. So you're seeing like, hey, this guy runs this all the time. Let's work on focusing on, building a relationship with them. So not only finding people outside of a load board and then developing a relationship with, there's also really great tools, not even just Descartes, out there, period, for capacity, where you can find carriers that specifically do those type of lanes. So that way you're not having to just find a one and done carrier.
So, and it's the community piece. I've talked with other tech companies about this, that building community, I haven't seen a community piece of a logistics tech company that carriers actually use.
Yeah. Okay, that carriers use.
Right?
Yeah.
Like,
no.
Right? Is there a LinkedIn for carriers that they actually use within any tech company component? I really don't think there is.
I don't think there is either.
Seems weird to say, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And we know there's a hunger because, gosh, I can't even think of the name of. It had an interstate symbol, and it was used like Carrier Forum, Trucking Forum. Do you remember that?
Yeah. I see them on Reddit all the time, but I don't think it's really a community.
Okay, there you go. So how are they on Reddit, but no tech company was able to build a trucking Reddit that would actually feed into and make more useful the tech piece?
Or even like a way carriers can vet brokers and shippers. I know, so Freight Validate, that, like I said, they're partnered with us, but they have something like that where you can actually look up a broker's information and even see like their credit score and stuff. I think that's super important, but there's, other than them, I don't know of any other platform that has any way for them to vet brokers or shippers. And how else are they going to avoid being part of being scammed? Because they're honestly getting screwed over just as much as everybody else. So
we don't even know, Sue and I talk about this, we don't even know, like, we're just talking about, okay, loads get double listed on a load board. Shouldn't that be a flag right there?
Right.
Maybe everything's cool, but maybe it's not.
Yeah. There's definitely a lot. And then whenever you're getting offered a load that, like, you'll see the prices posted or something, and then all of a sudden this guy's offering like double or triple, that's a red flag. It's more than just a hot load. That is simply them trying to pull one over and get you to take the load and then not pay you later. That's what that is.
What's weird is we all know if it's too good to be true.
It is.
And that's why the name of the broker posting it, too good to be true.
Yeah, right.
And you're still rushing to book it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
pretty weird.
Well, and something too that I talk to a lot of carriers about is if you're getting a broker that is asking you a lot of questions and doing a full-on, almost like an investigation vetting process, to me, that means you're also dealing with a broker who is a good guy. Like, if they're doing their due diligence, that means they're more than likely a good broker because they're doing their part. So I think a lot of carriers in the beginning were very standoffish, just kind of like whenever tracking first came in. I don't want you tracking me and following me everywhere. Well, it's just from point A to point B. We're not following you everywhere type thing. So I think as time goes on and, more brokers are doing it with carriers are used to it. But I think that's something really important they need to realize too, is watch me say this and then now all the bad guys start doing the same thing. But if a good broker is vetting you and all that stuff, like, just know that they're doing their part. So that's kind of more reassurance for you as a carrier.
I like how you mentioned the bad guys. I want to tap into that.
Don't come on here.
Yeah. I know. Well, that's it. Exactly.
Don't listen to this. Yeah.
All right. So let's do a little bit of, you want to do a little bit of demo stuff or whatever?
For sure.
All right, cool.
Love to.
Yeah, take it away. It's yours.
All right. Let me share my screen. Hold on one second.
If you're just joining now, we're going to get a live demo information from Danielle at MyCarrierPortal. So thanks for jumping in. If you have a question, you can jump in the live chat. If you want some more information, feel free to request it. We're here to help. How do you vet a carrier with Danielle?
Yeah, so I'm going to just jump into our search and IntelliVite part first. We have a bunch of other things that are in here, especially as an admin. But really, this is where you spend most of your day. Let's say you post a load, phones are blowing up left and right. How do I know if I should work with this guy or not? So search by DOT, MC, any of this information you can do as well. But basically, hey, what's your MC? MC is whatever. You can see right away, can I work with this carrier? Can I not? This is an example of, yeah, this carrier looks great. They're meeting all my standards. That's based on our risk assessment. Our risk assessment can be modified, tailored to you and the way that you operate. So if you require, hey, I want this carrier to be in business for a year before I work with them, or hey, I require them to have 250,000 insurance on cargo because of the freight I use. You can customize all of that, and then that way you're not having to check this screen and that screen. Kind of like I told you earlier, if you're manually doing it, you're having to check all these things. It's doing all that work for you, so it just is only alerting you on what's not meeting your standards. And I'll show you an example of that. But these guys, for instance, look good. They're meeting all my standards. I mentioned Freight Validate's part of us, so you'll be able to see that there too. That means that they are completely FMCSA compliant. They're obeying the laws on the FMCSA front. You can see whether or not they're set up with you or not underneath the packet status, an overview of their insurance certificate, and I actually can see their certificate ahead of time as well underneath the profile. Part of the community of MCP is the second part, so you'll be able to see if they've had any type of incident reports. So if they've been marked for double brokering, fraud, theft, anything like that, you can read those reports from any of the other MyCarrierPortal customers and read those. Carrier does have a chance to respond. So, and the way that they do have to respond is they have to log in, but with a verified information. It's a two-factor authentication. So knowing that this is actually the carrier responding, which I think some other platforms are not like that. And then lastly is their rating. So like this carrier, for instance, is set up with 99 customers of ours. Out of that, they have 5 stars. So I'm looking at this guy. Yeah, they look great. I can see that right away on the phone. I really don't have to look at everything after you kind of get used to it, but I see, yeah, I can talk to him. Let's keep going with the call. Let's say I cover them on the load, sending a packet, super easy. Just hit IntelliVite, select who you're talking to. More than likely it's this guy. We've already confirmed his identity. Hit send. They get the link for that. There's a two-factor authentication for them to log in, kind of like what you do with your bank. Log in, fill out the packet. It usually takes 1 to 5 minutes. Goes into your TMS, and you're done. So as fast as it can be, if the carrier meets all your requirements, it's usually 1 to 5 minutes the complete process. Now, of course, not every carrier looks like this. So I'm going to pull up basically just like a bad guy. I think it's the same example you showed a little bit earlier too. This carrier, for instance, has a ton of red flags. They have 12 things that are not meeting my standards. They're considered unacceptable, unable to invite. You'll notice because they're failing my my standards here, that button to send them an invitation is gone. So I can't even try to set them up because they completely fail my standards. I can click here and see why. So their FMCSA insurance is about to go out. They're probably about to be turned off. It was what it looks like now. They're less than a year old. So it's giving me, hey, they're a little bit newer. Looks like they had 0 inspections. And then also they have really red flags basically everywhere. They're blocked by 24 other companies. They have a little bit of a lower rating, 4.8. So, and that's only 20 customers. So that means some in there has marked them. They have a watchdog report, and then 4 incident reports, 2 of them are directly into fraud, and then Freight Validate as well, saying that do not validate. They're not going by the law on that front. So I can see that, right away. Like I said, I'm not having to check all these other things. I'm seeing right up front what's going on. If I wanted to read those reports, I can. They're right here. Like I said, carrier has a chance to respond. They log in to do that. So the fact that they didn't respond to me is also a red flag. But you can scroll through if there's more than one. You can see double broker scammer. We like it when people write, longer things so you can really read up on it. And then they also can submit it anonymously as well. So kind of what you see on like a bad guy. Now, if I just have some simple red flags on the carrier, it'll show as a review required. So the review required does not mean that they're a bad guy, or it does not mean for sure they're a bad guy. They could be. It just means we need to investigate these guys further. And how do we do that? Our biggest way to do that is with our VIN verification. And drivers out there, you probably have gotten texts like this, so you may be familiar with it. I'm going to jump over here and show you how that works. So with the VIN verification, what happens is once you get to the driver's phone number, you click on Validate VIN. It'll text the link to the driver. They'll get a text message that will say, hey, send in a picture of your truck showing your VIN number. We take that picture, run that. You'll get an email back that will show you what picture they sent in. So like this guy has a brownish truck. Here's his VIN. We take that VIN. Does it belong to this carrier? Does it belong to somebody else? Okay, this VIN does belong to that carrier. Great. We're also capturing who sent that in, their IP address, and then we're also requesting their location. Now, drivers are pretty used to getting tracked nowadays, so usually they're saying yes on this. If they say no to giving their location, we'll grab it from their IP address. To me, it's a red flag if they don't show their location. Like I said, drivers are really used to this, so they should be doing that. But just in case, we will show IP. It's just not as accurate. But I can go here and see where was this guy when he sent that picture. More than likely parked back here in the back, pulled over, waiting on his next load, opened up the door, took a picture for me. That's where he was standing at whenever he sent this in. So what's nice about having this information is, yes, maybe I have some red flags, but how do you, without being next to that driver and sitting, in the cab right next to him, how do you know he's a good guy or not? How do you know what he's saying is accurate? How do you know does this truck actually belong to this carrier that you're talking to? So this is kind of our way of being there with them without being there with them. So for instance, let's say, I'm talking to this dispatcher and he's like, oh yeah, my guy's empty in Chicago, perfect. That's where my load's picking up at. I see that the, picture was sent in. I see the VIN belongs to him. But then whenever I look at that location, he's in Douglasville, Georgia. So either I have wrong driver info or something's off here. Something's not adding up. You also may run into where it belongs to another carrier, the VIN. So if that happens, you actually can click on a question mark here. It'll tell you what company it does belong to. Hey, Mr. Dispatcher, why does your truck show that it belongs to On Freight? Oh, well, that's my owner operator. Okay, great. I need a lease agreement. Like I still need documentation tying this truck to your contract so that, let's say the load shifts and I do have some sort of claim going on, I still can submit a claim on your insurance, but without having that truck tied to that contract, I have no ground to stand on. So like I said, it's not always just like I'm looking out for the bad guys. It could just be a simple thing where, hey, I still need to have, my due diligence done on the backside just in case something does happen, because we're in trucking and trucks breaks down, have to slam on the brakes too hard, load shifts, things happen all the time. So I think it's not just for fraud, it's for the everyday use as well. And I think, a lot of companies out there are really focusing on, fraud, which of course that's important. Like I told you earlier, it's a huge problem. But day in, day out stuff as well, you need to know who you're working with. Last thing I'll kind of show too, there's a lot more in this as well, but kind of like we were talking about what you mentioned earlier with that central dispatch. What was interesting with that, and I would love to have that MC so I could look this up, knowing who that email belongs to. Does it belong to this carrier? Does it belong to somebody else? To me, that email looks really fishy and I wouldn't really trust that. So how do I know who I'm working with? And what's nice with that is, I kind of mentioned earlier, whenever you're sending the packet off, they have to log in, they have to have their identity confirmed to even fill out your packet. But really where a lot of fraud's coming in nowadays is they're hitting some of these big carriers and they're posing as them, kind of like that central dispatch. They have like an email that looks just like them. It looks like them. Let's go ahead and send that rate sheet to them. I know I'm set up with these guys. But really that's where, like I said, a lot of fraud is coming in right now. So down here you can see who exactly has been verified with that company. Or if they failed verification, you can see that they failed as well. So let's say, this John guy calls in, hey, yeah, I usually work with Marco, but today he's out. You're going to be working with me. Okay, John, what's your email? Okay, I show you've been verified. Great. I'll send you the rate sheet. They're not listed. Go ahead and type that email in, and we will work on getting that verified for you. And how that works is either one of these guys who've been verified can approve that, saying yes, they're with us. They log out that 2-factor, hit that approval button, or we call the number on FMCSA. Hey, does John work with you guys? This is the email he provided. Can he fill out a packet? So getting all that information too, and that's something that we take care of. So you're not having to waste time by waiting on hold, trying to get in touch with this guy, and we'll do that for you. So kind of a very quick run through of MyCarrierPortal.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
A lot of info. There's a lot more in here, of course, but I could go on for days, honestly. But
well, which is okay. The audience is like, yeah, we'll just watch all day. So we had a couple of questions here.
Okay.
We've got, and I'll take the screen back for a second.
Yeah.
Okay. Mary First, Mary says the problem is people can call and say they are someone they are not, wishing now we had more load boards that provided dispatch on sites.
Yep.
Do you? Yeah. What?
And I totally agree with that. And that's why I think that user verification is key. You don't know who you're working with. You're not sitting by these people at all. So even if someone's posing as that company, how do you know that? You verify them through that user verification. They're not listed. Let's go ahead and get them verified. They have to be verified to work with. And there are some TMS companies out there that are making it where with our integration with them, whenever you go to try to send a rate sheet through your TMS, it will actually check through MCP, was that email address even verified? If it wasn't, it's going to kick through that user verification process as well. So kind of taking that extra step, we're having to look on our site. Some TMSs are building that in. So that's making that a lot easier for your process.
This is interesting in that, with any technological change, it's going to disrupt. There's that word again. It's going to disrupt the way things were done. So 10 years ago, I was a dispatcher. I would call. I'd look at the load board. I'd call brokers. And I was legitimately booking loads for carriers.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's weird I have to say that.
Service, yeah.
There's now so much illegitimacy around the whole idea of trying to do something. To me, that's like calling the hostess illegitimate because she's trying to take it to your table.
Yeah.
Well, I don't trust this hostess.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah. So dispatch services. Go ahead. I'll let you finish.
Well, I'll just say this. But what I was doing, the way I was doing it 10 years ago, would be a lot harder now because now they're going to send the dispatch over. They don't know who I am because I'm not the carrier. They're not going to recognize my email address. So this does make it harder. And I think this is what sucks for the carrier. It's already hard to be a carrier.
Right. So the whole dispatch service, FMCSA did say legally, dispatching services cannot agree to contracts or sign rate sheets on behalf of a carrier unless if they are part, like a 1099, they're a part of that actual company, or they are have power of attorney for them. So that's the only time that they can agree to contracts or sign rate sheets. So I think that's something important to note now that has changed since before. And honestly,
do you have the year on that? Is that recent?
I want to say, it was either like 2022, 2023, or something like that.
Right. Okay.
I can try to find that and I'll send that to you. But yeah, so I think that's important to know because there was so many, like every time I found out somebody was a dispatching service, whenever the whole fraud thing started to blow up, I was like, but it does, like you said, every dispatching services does not mean they're a bad guy. There's great people out there. However, legally, they cannot agree to those contracts. So who's logging in and filling out a packet for me needs to be the actual carrier, the owner operator. They can book loads. They can handle like the actual accounting piece of it, all that type of stuff, negotiate the rate. But as far as signing a contract and a rate sheet, that has to be the carrier legally.
So this is terrible news for the individual owner operator unless it's easy for them to just do it on their phone.
It's very easy. Yeah.
Thank God. Because, right?
Yeah.
The individual owner operator, he's at Copart right now.
Yeah.
Trying to put a wheel back on for the last 2 hours.
Yeah.
That nobody told him about. Right? That's real.
Right.
That's a problem. So, all right. So how does a carrier simply e-sign a dispatch contract? Yeah. Tell me more.
Let me,
That's awesome.
Here, I'll share my screen just so I'm going to actually log in as if I was a carrier.
That's awesome.
I'm going to skip the login process just because that's, that takes a little bit, like, it doesn't take a second. It's just with the 2-factor. So I'm just going to skip that part. Hold on 1 second. I'll share. It's very easy, especially if you've ever used MyCarrierPortal before, because we save all your information. You're not having to retype this in or that in. You do it once. It's a very quick process. So let me share my screen. As a carrier, this is what you see. I'm logged in. This is first thing. This is going to be on the shipper or broker, whoever our customer is. This is going to be all the questions that they ask you. So, hey, what's your after hours numbers? What lanes are you running? How do you want to get paid? All of that's on this main screen. If you've ever filled this out before, all of this stuff is auto-populated. Some of it we're pulling from FMCSA. The very first time may take you a minute or two, but once that's in there, honestly, they're scrolling down and on their phone, flipping through. They hit save and next. We do stop them here on purpose. Hey, is this for sure how you want to get paid? Because maybe the last time, oh, I did quick pay. This time, actually, I'm going to use, regular pay because this carrier has better credit, whatever, or this broker has better credit, whatever. Confirm. Next part, we usually have their insurance on file already. They confirm that, move on. If we do not have their insurance, they've never worked with us before, or maybe theirs expired, we don't have the new one yet. They type in their agency name. If it's a verified agent, they go ahead and find their agency name, hit continue. If it's not, they can type that info in and we'll go ahead and, verify that that is a legitimate agency because it's another fraud thing out there right now. And then go get that certificate. After that, next screen is their W-9. This is all auto-populated too, which I think is good to know, especially with those owner-operators who remembers their EIN. It's not like your social. To me, I never remember my business stuff, so it's all auto-populated. I'm not having to worry about it. We're also TIN matching each and every carrier as well, so if they do happen to make a mistake in there, they get notified. The customer gets notified, hey, something's not matching with the IRS, so they're not getting hit with fines. Scroll down to the bottom here, save and next. The last screen that they will have is their agreement. So this would be the customer's agreement. Read it or not, hit I agree, save and next, and they're done. So it's quick and easy as that. Like I said, from the phone, especially if they've ever done it before, that's whenever it's such an easy process.
That's pretty awesome. So I guess my question is, how does Random Broker, this button here, how does Random Broker on Random Load Board get hooked into your system so when the carrier books Random Load with Random Broker, they're going through this e-sign process?
Yeah, so to become a customer with us, basically just reach out. We do a demo first, so similar to what I went through, we kind of do a little bit more deeper dive into it. Go through that. We have a contract in place, but we also vet our customers too. So that's something to keep in mind. If you are the bad guy listening,
Oh no,
we will catch you as
vet
well.
the broker too?
Yeah, we do vet our customers.
Well, that's a whole nother show.
I know, right? And that one is also a little more trickier. What's funny is I actually had one the other day where the recent changes with FMCSA popped in, that red alert. Call the old phone number. I'm like, I don't know. And I also didn't have a good feeling about it. I think that's another thing. Trust your gut. But that I could talk about all day long. But I called the old phone number. Hey, I'm talking to so and so. He's talking about becoming a customer. They were like, I don't even know who you're talking about. That was not us. I'm like, well, I saw your recent changes on FMCSA. That was not us. I don't even know what you're talking about. I sent them all their information about how their FMCSA got hacked in, and who knows what would have happened with that customer. But yeah, we do vet our customers as well, and I think that's important for carriers to know as well. If you're getting a packet from MyCarrierPortal customer, that's another okay, they're legitimate, check mark.
This is a pretty sweet system. I took a bunch of notes, so I got some follow-ups.
Perfect.
And it is, so that carrier packet, all right, I'll start with this. That carrier packet's all electronic.
Yep.
No more. I remember I used to have to print out. See, and as the dispatcher, I will say this too. As a dispatcher, I can still work with this because if the carrier gets me signed up as a 1099, that's no big deal. They're paying me as an independent contractor anyways. Okay, so we could do that.
Yep.
And the way I always worked is I always knew the carrier I was booking for. None of this book, and let's figure out who we give it to. Right. That's crazy.
I don't even know that, and I think that's the biggest problem too. Those are the dispatching services that get the freight guards makes the carrier have freight guards because they canceled loads and all sorts of mayhem because it's not, like you said, they don't even really have a truck in hand.
I mean, that's double brokering.
Right.
So, all right. And then, because the thing is, in my mind, the hardest part about dispatching, number one, is finding the right loads and booking them.
Yep.
And that
takes a lot of time.
Speed.
Yeah.
Well, you got to be fast. You got to be patient. You got to be a great negotiator, and you got to be able to understand quickly what you're dealing with.
Yeah, and ask the right questions. Yeah, and ask the right questions, especially hey, how long? Finding out more information about the shipper too. Is my guy going to sit there for 7 hours? That's something too to they need to know what questions to ask too.
That's right. There's a lot to know. So then, once I get the load, if the driver has to e-sign it, that's cool.
Yep.
I'm great with that because now he knows what he's signing.
Yep.
Right?
Exactly, because it's his company.
Yeah, that's cool. And then, because then once he does sign it, then back to dispatch, going through all the verification, getting the hours, talking to somebody. Yep. You're really going to be there.
Yep.
You're really going to be there. right? And all that
Yeah.
stuff. When this is where freight and auto logistics really start to differ.
Okay.
That we don't have detention pay and all that stuff in auto logistics.
Oh, interesting. I didn't even know that.
Right? But in freight, I don't know. I don't think there's as much consideration about where are we going to load it? Will it fit?
Yeah.
It's a 53-foot dry van. It's
Yeah.
pretty straightforward.
True.
But in
Very
car
true.
hauling, well, is it the Expedition ELT or the Z? Right? And
Right.
you're starting to deal with inches and miles and times and
Yeah.
in-ops, and it gets crazy.
Wow.
But
yeah.
yeah,
That's
it's
interesting.
totally crazy. It is. It's nuts. All right, you can fill out the packet electronically in 5 minutes or whatever, right?
Mhm.
That's amazing. The infractions. By
Yeah.
the way, who's submitting these incident reports?
These are other MyCarrierPortal customers. And something to keep in mind too, that a lot of the other ones out there, we do take in, like, if a carrier is like, this is 100% false, I have all this proof, whatever. I mean, that happens. I had our old brokerage, we had an asset side. Somebody marked us for double brokering, but really, when you read it, even it said that we took a load. The driver got sick, we had to cancel. Like, it was during COVID. He got COVID, we had to cancel. They marked us for double brokering. That's not double brokering. That is canceling after accepting a load. Like, mark it correctly. Anyways, try to dispute it. They wouldn't listen to us at that company that, had the report on their platform. So that's something we do differently. The carrier can technically dispute. It is a process. I mean, we are honestly going to trust our customers, but they do have a process where both sides submits paperwork, proves their sides, so that, because we want that to be as honest as possible. But we're not here to make carriers not be able to get business. That's not what we're here for. So.
Yeah, I based on many things I've read, I feel like many ratings or reviews should require a paragraph explanation.
Yeah.
Because now you can understand who is talking, where they're coming from, and maybe it's Mars.
Right. Maybe they
Right.
just had a bad day and they're just here to
And
grill
it
people.
makes no
You mean
sense.
that happens?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
It totally happens.
Yeah.
Tracking.
Yeah.
You know, if you have the phone number, don't you have the IP address and the tracking and whatever anyways?
So if
Or
you put
no?
them on, so Dakar has MacroPoint as part of our group too, which is something that's coming up. And I would, once we have that fully in here, I'd love to jump back on here and show you that part. But with MacroPoint, if you put them on tracking, yes, you'll have all of that. You'll see their location. However, before I even put them on tracking and pay for that load to be tracked, I want to know who I'm dealing with before I even really send a rate sheet. I don't even want to tell them where my shipper is. I want to know who I'm dealing with ahead of time. So that's why we have that prior to all that.
The tracking component, I feel like we're gonna reach a dead end on I don't want to be tracked. I
Mhm.
mean, we're all tracked.
Everybody's tracked, and
You're being tracked right now. I'm being tracked right now.
as my kids will say, that's sus.
We're all tracked. Yeah. And, right. And by the way, when you do say that, your kids are like, no.
Oh yeah,
You're not
I got
allowed.
two teenagers.
You
They
get
are
that?
so mad at me. Yes, yeah,
My kids are like, you can't say sus, Dad.
yeah,
Doesn't
100%.
sound right.
Yeah, so I'm
It'll
like,
never
I'm cool.
sound right.
I'm the cool mom. I can say that. Yeah,
Sus carrier portal. No.
yeah,
You can't say that. You can't
that's
do that.
funny. That'll be Gen Z's carrier portal that comes out.
What?
I said that would be Gen Z's new platform
Yeah,
that comes
Gen
out.
Z's
The
carrier
sus
portal.
platform. Yeah.
And you know what? With all the turnover, we're in a high turnover business.
Mm-hmm.
And the kind of the get rich quickness of many that enter, whether it's carrier, whether it's broker. I mean, I don't know what else I can say except for that rhetoric. You watchdog reports? You have watchdog reports? Isn't
So-
that like a general internet thing?
You have to be
No.
a TIA member to be
Okay.
that. Yeah. Which also, I'm actually part of I met with them yesterday. TIAs, they have a fraud committee, I guess it's called. I don't even remember the right term, but kind of all meet up. We talk about what's actually going on, and just another example of like boots on the ground. I want to hear from customers. So if anybody has stories about, hey, this happened to me, and maybe if you guys had this would have prevented it. Whatever the case is, like, we're always here to innovate. Hit me up on LinkedIn. I'd love to hear all the stories. Go ahead. Sorry. With your question.
No, I love it. And so it brings us to Mark has asked the big question.
You said the big question, what? I'm sorry, I missed it.
Yeah, no, and then I was creating like tension,
Oh, it's my ruined
which
that.
exists
Sorry.
anyways. Okay, how much is it?
So it starts off at 500 per month and depends on how many carriers you monitor. So, um, starts off at 500 a month and goes up from there, just depending on your size of your brokerage.
So that's a brokerage. What if you're a single owner operator? You want to do the e-sign stuff. Did the
That's free.
broker pay for that?
Brokers pay for that. Brokers and shippers are our customers. Carriers do not pay.
What?
Yeah, we want it to be as easy and
What?
user friendly for them as possible. So if they have instead of paying to print off, going to the truck stop and printing off all these papers for them to sign out, we make it where it's free for the carrier.
That's amazing. Seriously. Carriers never hear the word free, ever.
Right. I know they have to pay for parking now too. I'm like, that's crazy.
I know, right?
Yeah.
What's up with that?
Yeah, that's a whole nother like left
imagine?
field. Yeah.
Hi, welcome to Starbucks. Okay, it's $1 just to be in the
Yeah.
lane here to order your coffee. So your
Right.
coffee just went up $1. Welcome to you know
Yeah.
what? I mean, that is crazy. These guys
Crazy.
can't afford parking.
Yeah. It's
They already
crazy.
paid for showers.
Yeah.
Maybe that was his justification. Hey, they're paying for showers. Let's make
Right.
them pay for parking.
Make them pay for everything. Yeah.
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 All right, that is so neat. So every carrier should literally go sign up with MyCarrierPortal, right?
Yeah, and so in order to, if you are not with MyCarrierPortal, like you never filled out a contract for somebody, it does have to be invited from one of our customers to become a user. But we have over 3,000 customers, so more than likely you're going to be in there. As far as like our network, most carriers probably already in here. I think we're at like 96% of carriers active with FMCSA have an active login with us. So most of them are in here, I will say. But if not, yeah,
It's pretty
you can
neat.
hit us up.
Because printing, so as a dispatcher, I would print those 15 to 20 page carrier packets.
Wow.
Yeah.
The paper,
And then-
the ink. Yeah.
And then I'm trying to fax it or, fill it out. And, okay, I filled it out, but you got to sign the signature page. It just was a nightmare.
Yeah,
It
I
was
can't
awful.
even imagine. Yeah.
Nah, it was horrible. So that's pretty cool. Well, we covered a lot. There was really a lot. I'm excited that there's a potential here for more information.
Oh yeah, totally. I like I said, I can talk about this all day long.
Pretty neat.
Mm-hmm.
For anybody that wants to get more information, you go to mycarrierportal.com.
Yep, mycareportal.com. Like I said, hit me up on LinkedIn as well. I can direct you there to Danielle Spinelli.
Danielle Spinelli on LinkedIn.
Yep.
Do you also? I love to share phone numbers of
Yeah.
like company phone numbers. Is there a company phone number?
Company phone number is 818-453-8591. And my email too, if they want to do that, is dspinelli@descartes.com.
Ooh.
I can spell it out.
Spinelli at Descartes.
.com. Yep.
Right. 818-453-8591
Yep.
is the company number for My Carrier Portal. You can email dspinelli@descartes.com. Find Danielle Spinelli on LinkedIn. Danielle, thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having
It
me.
was
It's been
awesome.
fun. Yeah, definitely.
All right. Have a good one. We'll
Bye,
talk
guys.
to you later. All right, see ya. And we let her go, and really that is pretty much the end of the show today. That is a full 105 of just Jay talking. Sue is out today, not feeling well. Whatever weather you're dealing with, be safe. Hopefully you learned something here, whether you're a carrier, whether you're a dispatcher, whether you're a broker or a shipper. There is a lot to learn from My Carrier Portal. Again, another shout out. Thank you, Danielle Spinelli, and thank you, My Carrier Portal. This was really great. Appreciate the information. If you need more, let me know. My email address is still autotransportintel@gmail.com. You can go to atiautobusiness.com, and we'll see you soon. All right, we got a great show. Tuesday night, we're going to do... All right, Insight LPR is a camera system for repo agents to track down VINs. and I've covered different aspects of repossession and LPR technology. On Tuesday night, we're going to meet actual users of Insight LPR and why they love using Insight LPR. So join us Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Central Time for that. Other than that, here comes the car hauler. Stay safe, and we'll see you soon. Thanks, office. Take care.